To you all. If you don't know, my name's Andrew and I'm Nicola's stepfather. Both myself and Rose would like to welcome you here today, celebrating the wedding. We really appreciate you coming here. So, thank you for that. Looking outside, the weather's been good, which we're lucky with, so those of you that have to go out and see, unless you come back in dry. And yeah, it's just nice to be able to go out and wander around. I think probably what I need to do is just to formally welcome Alex into the family. Obviously, of course, you have been introduced, I think, to most of what I can refer to as sort of outside of the family. And for all of you, I'm pleased to say that Nicola's Alex has survived that. He's still here, as you can see. Yeah, I think sometimes we can be forced to be reckoned with, so. I made it, so that's
you were my canary, mate.
Is that I'm not sure, thank you. Obviously, alongside Alex, we're delighted to also welcome Mason.
Stand up,
Matilda.
He's happy.
And then there's Anne. In the end there, we've got Nick, Chloe, family. And also, you have to forgive me guys, I think you're sort of cousin also. And we've got friends over here, which I haven't met, but hopefully as the evening goes on,
We tapped up for a few drinks, Andrew, don't worry.
Sorry, so who's going to be tapped up?
Definitely, probably alright, but these guys bring it back.
Okay. I don't mind going on it. I think, yeah, we mentioned it, I think we're going to be hearing from Nick shortly. I think we've got a few words to say.
Full page as well.
I've got 7 little ones. The other thing I've got to say, I think you're all going to agree with me just how lovely Nicola. Really. And it goes without saying, I just can't say how honoured that I was to be asked to give you away. We didn't have that part of it, but we did have to get on the way. That's brilliant. I think you give that. The other thing I want to do is where the food. Where's your dog? I'll mention you in a moment. There's Melissa and all the staff here. I think I'd like to thank them on behalf of myself because they've done a great job. You guys have seen them while you've been sitting here, but Melissa and there's another lady off. I'm sorry, I don't know the name, but while Nick was getting ready, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes and they guided us and they were brilliant. So wherever you are, thank you. Much appreciated. And of course, Sadie, who keeps pointing the camera at us and flashing. Yeah, you've been brilliant. Thank you for all you're doing. I think that's just about all I feel I need to say. Because I know there's Alex got some things to say, and Nick. So I'm not going to hold the microphone as it is, but I do. Please, all got glass. And please join me. Raise the glass and tell us to the couple. Nick and Alex. Thank you all.
Well done, Andrew.
one of your sessions.
Up the on stage.
Come on, Alex. Come on.
So I'm going to say a few words just before I spend the next 30 years listening. Yeah. I can live that long, trust me. I was going to memorise this speech, but I thought if I actually show that I've got the capacity to retain information, half of my excuses are going to be out the window going forward. So I'm afraid you're going to have to see me look down quite a bit. Today's the first time I'm going to have met a lot of you guys, and I'm hoping this is going to leave a good impression. But with my brother's speech coming up next, I just thought, well, looks As I'm sure you agree, Nick looks incredible. I'd like to raise a glass.
Grass.
Glass. One too many. Glass to my beautiful wife, Nicola. Yeah. You were absolutely right, babe. Budgets are for golf clubs and stag do's, not for wedding dresses. Nick and I have worked together for about 11 years, and in that time we became really good friends. When talking about our past partners, Nick's has been made up of 6'7" football hooligans, Scottish football hooligans, and Russian bodybuilders. So, as you can see, she clearly has a type. It's hard to look this good, Fletch, isn't it? To keep this going. It is rude to look better than the groom as well as. You could have done what my mate's done and dressed like a bag of crap. When we first started dating, we'd have little nicknames for each other. Nick was Miss Piggy, and I was Kermit. Going forward, we had multiple other little code names. I won't go into it in too much detail, but needless to say, if I took her out for a nice meal, I'd stand a better chance of meeting Bert and Ernie. And if we went on a shopping trip, Oscar wasn't so grouchy. Nicola keeps me completely grounded and honest. If it wasn't for her, I'd go through life thinking I had absolutely no faults whatsoever. So did you know only 2% of the world is a redhead? So Nick, you're not 1 in a million, you're 1 in 140 million. Scotland boasts the highest percentage, with Ireland second. So it's probably pretty likely you've got a little bit of Scottish and Irish in you. I'll leave you to make your own jokes up. Redheads can change temperature pretty quickly. I can testify to that. There's nothing like beard hair on the sink that will turn Nick from cold to hot. Redheads can produce their own vitamin D, which COVID couldn't even take her down. So, you know.
She's a woman as well.
Well, there is a little bit of that, I suppose. Yeah.
Get the violins out.
People with red hair are more likely to be left-handed. Now, Nick isn't left-handed, but she's got a pretty mean left hook. And to be honest with you, she has told me to put the toilet seat down several times, so I do deserve it. She only bruises the body, so no one gets suspicious. Glenys, Andrew, Melissa, Sophie and Molly, thanks ever so much for making me feel so welcome to the family. It's thoroughly appreciated. That reminds me, Carl, Fletch.
You passed the test.
Add guy to the Ayers Girls survival group.
Only just, yeah.
I'd like to thank my mum for supporting me and Nick over the last 3 years, and for not telling any embarrassing stories about the previous 35 before that. I've got a feeling my luck's about to run out with Nick coming up next. And just before I leave, my brother's stepping up next, and I thought I would give you a little story about Nick, just so you're all prepared. Nick obviously is my best man. My brother arranged my stag do, and I thought I'd tell a little story from the stag do that shows that nothing phases him. I'm really going to tee him up for a fool, really. So on a stag do, Nick puts a message out on our group chat. Me and Nick are in the hotel room, about to go out for dinner, and he said, "Any of you boys got an iron?" And quick as a flash, Dave comes back and says, "Yes mate, I've got an iron. Come round to my, oh, what's your number?" "Yeah, it's this number." It turns out it's about 7 or 8 doors down. So Nick thought, I'm not going to bother getting changed. I'll leave just my towel on and I'll go out to that door. So I heard the door, stood at my door, Nick knock, knock, knock on this door. All of a sudden, bloody great bloke comes to the door. What do you want, wee man? Must have been about 6 or 7 drunk Scottish guys on a stag do. Smashed about 6 or 7 bottles of whiskey. Nick stood there in just the towel, and the pause was deafening. And all of a sudden, I heard him say, you've got an iron. Leaves his towel at the door, walks in, spends 20 minutes in there, comes back, having had 2 whiskies, an uncreased shirt, and leaving 12 drunk Scots guys laughing like 12-year-old girls. Completely unfazed by the whole thing. So, you know, I think we're all right for the speech. Finally, I'd like to add that, sadly, obviously, I never got to meet Nick's dad, and obviously my dad's not here either. So I'd like us all to raise a glass to absent friends.
Absent
friends.
Bruv, your turn. Thought I'd leave him on a somber note before you let it go.
Dead dads is hard to find. He's only wrong. So, I'm Nick, the brother, and for those of you that don't know me, this is your loss, to be quite honest with you. Alex is actually, still to this day, he might be embarrassed about this, has actually still not asked me ever to be his best man. I was expecting a meal out, some drinks, emotional words. I don't know what you brought it up, mate. I'm not bothered, don't you be bothered about this, alright? So, Nicola, I'll be honest with you, I've been told not to take too long with this speech. Because all of you are here today, it's been quite expensive, so one of the corners that Alex decided to cut was actually only paying the photographer for another 15 minutes, so we can quickly just get one more in. So, he's gone, that's it. He'll settle up in a minute, just go, alright? Nicola, as Alex mentioned, looks amazing today. Only the lads and I were just sat at the bar. It's clearly taken a lot of effort for this. Craig was saying you're a solid 6 out of 10. So I really wouldn't worry. It's also, to see you in a dress is amazing. Alex comments all the time you wear the trousers. So Alex and I met in the mid-80s, around the 11th of October. Or as my mum calls it, the greatest day of her life. When I was born, the first thing that Alex said to our parents was, when could Nick start playing football? When he was told it would be a good few years. He was pissed off, to say the least, as I was pointless to him in his life. I have to be honest and say that apart from normally brotherly fights when we trashed Debenham's fighting and him breaking my jaw and I had to eat and drink through a straw for 8 weeks, we got another house on fire. Best friends. Alex always used to like to come up with games where we'd play cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, tie me up and fuck off for 5 hours. My mum and dad would often find me just crying in a room somewhere.
They didn't notice you were gone, though.
Having a brother is great, as you can go to them for advice about life, women, sex, anything in life.
Children present?
Sadly, in our case, this was Alex coming to me. Now, Fletch, I know what you're thinking. Is it because he's ugly? This wasn't the case, fella. I'm just as stunning as you are. That's all the problem was. I do remember one lad's holiday that we went on. And one Australian girl paid great interest in Alex and said to us all on the holiday, she wanted him that night and to give him a flower. With us telling Alex this, he decided to lock his room, create an army-like fort of pillows around him, put his headphones on, listening to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone written by Stephen Fry, rocking backwards and forwards, hoping she wouldn't get him. Not what you'd expect from a holiday like that. Alex, when he was older, decided to start to go into the retail industry and start a sports shop. I worked for him at the time as well. As a business, this had one major flaw, that Alex hated people. If not, every day I was called up early for my lunch, probably 2 minutes in, and someone had dared to come in to want to spend some money with We also had a few occasions when we were watching Sky Sports on a Saturday and Alex had decided to gamble. The shops had to take in on like Arsenal scoring in the last minute and it didn't happen. He would swear at the TV and customers would leave in droves. Still to this day, we can't work out why the business had to close. So the stag do. When I was arranging this, Nicola gave Alex one clear instruction for me. There was to be no strip clubs, lap dancing, or any establishments where women might dance around him. I now find this a confusing rule, as I've since seen a video of Nicola with her sisters, who can only be described as a well-oiled man, swinging towards her, hanging onto bed sheets. In fairness, Alex said to me, this did not bother him as a rule, he's very much not into this. I'd like to take Alex back on a journey when the shop came in very handy, when on a Thursday he could turn the card machine off and have a cash-only day. That night he would go to De Niro's in Newmarket to what was stripper lap dancing night. And this was one of your favourite nights of the week. I was going to invite your favourite stripper down tonight, but to be honest with you, mate, she was pushing 60 back then.
Good enough for Rooney.
It's a juicy joke. So, on to Alex and Nicola as a couple. As Alex mentioned in his speech, Nicola's had quite a past when it comes to engagements. I wouldn't blame anyone today for thinking this wedding was sponsored by Sainsbury's. She's got more rings than Sonic the Hedgehog. When all of the rings came out, I thought it was a documentary about you. Based on our record, I'm holding back some of my best jokes for Alex's next wedding, even though he's still not asked me to be the best man at this one yet. When Alex told me he'd found love again, I instantly said lock up our inheritance, brother, and sort out a prenup, especially after hearing he was number 5 in the crosshairs. But it turns out, Nicola's holding all of the future inheritance, so I said, fill your boots, son. You go for it. In all seriousness, it's clear to see that Alex is happily in love and Nicola is ready to stop rolling the romance dice on the floor, mate. Stick with you. Running out of time or romance? You decide. I'd like to finish my speech today by sharing a story. Alex and I have started playing golf together a bit more. And it was probably about 4 or 5 months ago when, for those of you that play golf, you've got plenty of time to talk about life, love, everything. And I said to Alex, how are things going between you and Nicola? And he said, you know what, mate, I really love her, we've got a real spark and I couldn't ask for anything better in life. Which I thought was great.
Aww.
I took my tee shot, straight down the fairway, beautiful shot. He leant in and he said, doesn't hurt she puts out 3 times a week anyway.
We've slowed down a bit.
Alex, Nicola.